Ladies and gentlemen, life is a story of transformation. It is a journey of order and chaos, of destruction and rebirth. And sometimes, just before the most profound changes, there are signs, subtle yet powerful, whispering that you are on the edge of something new. Perhaps you feel discomfort, as if the life you've known no longer fits. Maybe you're facing resistance, obstacles that seem unfair and insurmountable. Or perhaps an old version of yourself is beginning to crumble under the weight of something great. But understand this: transformation is not comfortable, growth is not painless, and change, real, meaningful change, demands that you step into the unknown, that you willingly sacrifice who you are for the possibility of who you could become. Tonight, we will uncover these signs. We will dissect what it means when your world shifts beneath your feet. And more importantly, we will explore what you must do when life presents you with the opportunity to evolve, because the moment you recognize these signs is the moment you stand at the threshold of your next great chapter. And your task, your responsibility, is to step forward boldly into the future that is waiting for you. Let's begin. Discomfort and restlessness are often the first signs that your life is about to change. It starts as a quiet unease, a nagging sense that something isn't quite right. Maybe the job that once felt exciting now feels like a burden. Perhaps the relationships you've built no longer bring the same joy. You wake up feeling uninspired, go through the motions, and wonder why everything that once made sense now feels hollow. This feeling isn't random. It's your mind and body signaling that you've outgrown your current circumstances. Humans are designed for growth, and when we stay in a place that no longer challenges or fulfills us, an internal tension starts to build. That tension manifests as discomfort, a deep sense that you are meant for more but haven't yet taken the steps to reach it. At first, this restlessness might feel confusing. You might try to suppress it, telling yourself that you should be grateful for what you have. After all, nothing is technically wrong, but that's the tricky part. Change doesn't always come from suffering. Sometimes it comes from the realization that you are capable of more than what you've settled for. You may start to notice patterns of frustration creeping into your daily life. Small things begin to irritate you. Tasks that were once effortless now feel exhausting. The conversations you used to enjoy seem repetitive. Even places that once felt like home start to feel suffocating. You can't quite put your finger on why, but something inside you is pushing back against the familiarity of your routine. Discomfort also presents itself physically. You might feel more tired than usual, even when you're getting enough sleep. Or maybe you feel an unexplained restlessness in your body, an urge to move, to do something different, to break free from the monotony of your day-to-day existence. These are not signs of weakness or failure. They are signals that you are on the edge of transformation. During this phase, many people feel torn between two forces: the comfort of what they know and the pull of something unknown. The human brain is wired to seek stability, so stepping into uncertainty feels like a threat. This is why people stay in unfulfilling jobs, relationships, and situations far longer than they should. The discomfort of change often seems more intimidating than the discomfort of stagnation. But ignoring this restlessness doesn't make it go away. If anything, it grows stronger. You might find yourself becoming more impatient, more irritable, or even more emotional. The body and mind don't stay silent when something isn't right. The more you resist, the louder the signals become. It is at this point that many people experience an internal battle. On one hand, they recognize that they are no longer satisfied with where they are. On the other, they fear what lies ahead. The fear of failure, of making the wrong decision, of stepping into something unfamiliar keeps them trapped. Yet, the discomfort doesn't fade. It lingers, reminding them that staying the same is no longer an option. At this stage, some people will look for distractions. You'll try to numb the restlessness with entertainment, social media, food, or even substances. They might convince themselves that they just need a vacation, a new hobby, or a temporary change of scenery. But deep down, They know that the real issue isn't external, it's internal. It's internal. One of the most deceptive aspects of this phase is that it often disguises itself as dissatisfaction with minor things. You might think you just need a new job, a new city, or a new routine. While those things can help, they are often surface level solutions to a deeper calling. The real shift that needs to happen isn't just about your circumstances, it's about you. Some people may also experience a longing for something they can't quite define. They feel drawn to new interests, new ideas, or new people. They might find themselves reading different books, listening to different podcasts, or having conversations that feel more meaningful. This is because when the mind is preparing for transformation, it starts seeking the information and experiences that will guide it forward. There is also a sense of urgency that begins to build. The idea of staying the same becomes more unbearable than the fear of change. You begin to realize that time is passing, and every day you remain stagnant is a day you can't get back. The restlessness shifts from being an annoyance to being a wake-up call. This phase is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. It is the catalyst for growth, the signal that you are meant for something greater than what you are currently experiencing. Without this discomfort, there would be no push to evolve. It is the first and perhaps the most important sign that your life is about to change. When life is about to change, it often introduces challenges and resistance that seem to appear out of nowhere. Everything that once felt stable starts to shake. Obstacles begin to emerge, sometimes in the form of external difficulties and sometimes as internal struggles. You might face setbacks at work, conflicts in relationships, financial pressure, or even unexpected failures in areas where you once thrived. These challenges feel unfair, as if life is pushing back just when you thought you had things figured out. At first, you may try to fight against these obstacles with the same strategies that have worked in the past. You put in more effort, try to maintain control, and attempt to restore balance. But suddenly, the usual methods don't seem to work anymore. The harder you push, the more resistance you encounter. The comfort of predictability is gone, and in its place is a sense of instability that makes even simple tasks feel overwhelming. There is a reason for this resistance. When change is approaching, life tests your readiness. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself that are still holding on to the past. It exposes the weaknesses in your mindset, habits, and beliefs. Challenges serve as a mirror, reflecting the aspects of your life that need to evolve before you can step into the next chapter. These moments feel frustrating, but they are necessary because they reveal the gaps between who you are now and who you need to become. During this period, you may notice patterns of struggle repeating themselves. Maybe you keep facing the same types of conflicts in your relationships, or the same career obstacles keep blocking your progress. These repetitive struggles are not coincidences. They are signals. Life is presenting these challenges not to punish you, but to push you to recognize the lessons you have been avoiding. Until you address the underlying issues, the same problems will continue to resurface in different forms. This resistance can also take shape in the form of self-doubt. You start questioning your abilities, your worth, and your direction. The things you once felt confident about now feel uncertain. You might experience moments of imposter syndrome, feeling as though you are unqualified for the opportunities ahead. Your mind starts to create excuses, convincing you that you're not ready, that the timing isn't right, or that you should wait until things feel easier. But the truth is, resistance isn't a sign to stop. It's a sign that you're on the verge of growth. Another way resistance manifests is through unexpected disruptions. Life may remove people, jobs, or circumstances from your world, forcing you into unfamiliar territory. You might experience the loss of a friendship, the end of a relationship, or the sudden closing of a door you were relying on. In the moment, these losses feel painful, but in hindsight, they often reveal themselves as redirections. The things that fall apart during times of transition are usually the things that no longer serve your future self. One of the most challenging aspects of this phase is the emotional toll it takes. The combination of external struggles and internal doubt creates a sense of exhaustion. Some days you may feel like giving up. You might even convince yourself that returning to your old ways would be easier than pushing forward. This is the critical point where many people retreat back into their comfort zones. They misinterpret resistance as a sign that they are on the wrong path, rather than understanding that it is actually a sign that they are getting closer to a breakthrough. During this stage, it's easy to compare yourself to others and wonder why their journeys seem smoother. Social media and the outside world make it appear as though everyone else is thriving, while you are stuck in a cycle of struggle. But what you don't see are the battles they faced before reaching where they are. Every person who has ever experienced profound change has first faced resistance. Growth does not happen without discomfort. The people who succeed are not the ones who never struggled. They are the ones who refused to let struggle define them. It is important to recognize that resistance is not random, it is intentional. It is the force that separates those who are willing to change from those who remain stagnant. Life does not hand out transformation freely. It makes you earn it. Yes. Every challenge, every setback, and every obstacle is a test to see how badly you want the next level of your life. Those who persist despite the resistance are the ones who eventually break through to the other side. This phase also reveals hidden strengths. When you are pushed to your limits, you discover what you are truly capable of. The discomfort of struggle forces you to adapt, to think differently, and to develop new skills. The same resistance that feels like an enemy is actually shaping you into the person you need to become. Without it, you would remain the same, never forced to expand beyond your current limitations. People who resist change often try to negotiate with it, hoping they can grow without facing hardship. They look for shortcuts, trying to bypass the struggle while still reaping the rewards of transformation. But the truth is, there is no shortcut. The process of change demands that you prove yourself. It requires that you endure, that you face the discomfort, and that you trust the process even when it makes no sense. There comes a moment in life when the person you used to be no longer feels like the person you are becoming. It's not always dramatic at first. Sometimes it starts as a subtle shift, small realizations that the things that once defined you no longer hold the same meaning. The goals you used to chase, the beliefs you once held, the way you identified yourself in the world, all of it starts to feel distant, as if you are looking at a version of yourself that no longer fits. This feeling can be unsettling. You may find yourself holding on to old habits, relationships, and routines simply because they are familiar, but deep inside there is a growing sense that these things are no longer aligned with where you are headed. You might start losing interest in conversations that once excited you. People you once resonated with may now feel like strangers. The activities that used to bring you joy may now feel like obligations rather than passions. It's as if life is slowly peeling away the layers of your old identity, revealing something new underneath. During this phase, there is often confusion. You may not fully understand why you feel disconnected from your past self. You might look at old pictures or memories and struggle to recognize the person you used to be. The friends and family may notice the change before you do. They may comment that you've been acting differently or question why you no longer enjoy the same things. Some may even try to pull you back, urging you to return to the version of yourself they are comfortable with. This can create an internal conflict. On one hand, you feel the pull towards something new, something more authentic. On the other, you feel guilty for letting go of parts of yourself that once felt so important. You may ask yourself whether this transformation is real or if it's just a phase. The uncertainty can make you hesitant, afraid of embracing change fully because you don't yet know what lies ahead. At times, this shift in identity can be painful. You may experience a sense of loss, mourning the parts of yourself that no longer feel relevant. It's not that those aspects of your life were wrong or wasted. They served their purpose in shaping who you are. But just like a snake shedding its skin, growth requires leaving behind what no longer serves you. Holding on to an old identity simply because it is comfortable will only create resistance. People around you may struggle to understand this transition. Some may support you, recognizing that growth is natural and necessary. Others may resist your change, fearing that it will create distance between you. They may try to remind you of who you were, bringing up old memories or urging you to act as you once did. This is not out of malice, but rather because people find comfort in familiarity. When you change, it forces others to confront their own stagnation, and not everyone is ready for that. One of the biggest challenges in this phase is learning to trust yourself. When you let go of an old identity, you may feel temporarily lost, as if you are standing in between two worlds, the world of who you were and the world of who you are becoming. It is easy to second guess yourself, to wonder if you are making a mistake by changing too much. But this uncertainty is part of the process. Growth is not linear, and there will be moments of doubt before clarity emerges. You may also notice that your priorities shift. Things that once felt urgent may now seem trivial. You might find yourself drawn to different types of conversations, different environments, different dreams. You start to value depth over small talk, purpose over comfort, authenticity over approval. These shifts are not random. They are signs that you are evolving into a version of yourself that is more aligned with your true nature. At some point, the need for external validation begins to fade. You stop seeking approval for every decision. You realize that not everyone will understand your transformation, and that's okay. The journey of growth is personal, and waiting for others to accept it will only slow you down. You start making choices based on what feels right rather than what is expected. This is a turning point, the moment when you stop living according to an old script and begin writing a new one. It is important to recognize that this phase is not about becoming someone else. It is about uncovering who you were always meant to be. The process of losing an old identity is not a destruction, but a refinement. You are not abandoning your past. You are integrating its lessons while making space for new experiences. There will be moments of nostalgia, moments when you miss the simplicity of who you used to be. There may even be times when you are tempted to revert to old patterns because they feel safe. But deep down, you know that you cannot shrink back into a version of yourself that no longer fits. The discomfort of staying the same has become greater than the fear of change. The only way forward is through. Life has a way of presenting opportunities at the exact moment you are ready for change, even if you don't realize it yet. These opportunities often come in unexpected forms. New people entering your life, sudden job offers, chance encounters, or even a book, video, or conversation that shifts your perspective. At first, these moments may seem like coincidences, but when you step back, you begin to see pattern. The right things start appearing at the right time, as if the universe is nudging you in a new direction. You might notice that certain people start showing up in your life. Individuals who inspire you, challenge your thinking, or introduce you to new possibilities. Some of these people may become mentors, guiding you toward the next phase of your journey. Others may serve as catalysts, pushing you out of your comfort zone and forcing you to reconsider what you once believed was possible. These encounters are rarely accidental. They serve as signs that you are stepping into a new version of yourself, one that requires different influences and connections. At the same time, doors that once seemed closed suddenly begin to open. Maybe you get an unexpected job interview, a business opportunity, or a creative idea that feels too powerful to ignore. Perhaps someone reaches out with an offer that aligns perfectly with your evolving aspirations. These opportunities may not always come in the exact form you imagined, but they arrive with a sense of urgency, as if life is giving you a choice: step forward or stay where you are. Recognizing these opportunities requires a shift in awareness. If you are too focused on the past or too afraid of change, you might dismiss them as random occurrences. You might convince yourself that you are not ready, or that it's safer to stick with what you know. Fear of the unknown can cloud your judgment, making you hesitant to embrace what is being placed in front of you. But the truth is, these moments are not random. They are signals that you are in the right place at the right time, ready to take the next step. Not every opportunity will be obvious. Some will come disguised as challenges, forcing you to step up in ways you never have before. You may be given more responsibility at work, asked to take on a leadership role, or find yourself in a situation where you are pushed beyond your usual limits. These moments are uncomfortable, but they are also necessary. Growth does not happen without effort, and the opportunities that truly matter often require you to stretch beyond what feels safe. During this time, your intuition will play a key role. You will start to feel drawn towards certain paths, even if you can't fully explain why. You may wake up with a sense that something significant is about to happen. You may feel a deep internal pull toward a new project, career, or relationship. These feelings should not be ignored. They are guiding you toward the experiences that will shape your future. There will also be moments when you must make difficult choices. Not every opportunity will align with your true purpose, and part of growth is learning to discern between what is meant for you and what is simply a distraction. Some opportunities will test your ability to say no. You may be tempted to settle for something safe rather than waiting for what truly excites you. You may feel pressure from others to choose a path that makes sense on paper, but doesn't resonate with your soul. These are the moments when you must trust yourself the most. As you step into this phase, you may also notice synchronicities, small but meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be chance. You might think about an idea and suddenly hear someone discussing the same topic. You might write down a goal and then receive an unexpected message related to it. These moments serve as reassurance that you are aligned with something greater than yourself, that you are moving in the right direction, even if you don't have all the answers yet. Opportunities also come in the form of personal breakthroughs. You may have a sudden realization about what you truly want in life. You may let go of a limiting belief that has been holding you back for years. A single insight can shift your entire trajectory, allowing you to see possibilities where before there were only obstacles. These internal changes are just as important as external ones because they determine how you respond to the opportunities around you. One of the most powerful shifts that happens during this time is the realization that you are not waiting for life to hand you something. You are actively co-creating your future. The more open you are to new possibilities, the more they seem to appear. The more willing you are to take bold action, the more doors begin to open. You begin to understand that opportunities are not just given. They are recognized and seized by those who are ready to step into them. When this phase begins, it may feel overwhelming. So much is happening at once, and the choices in front of you may seem too big or too uncertain. But deep down, you know that staying where you are is no longer an option. Everything around you is pointing toward change, and the only question that remains is whether you will embrace it. There comes a time when you begin to feel an unshakable pull towards something more, something bigger than the life you have been living. It starts as a quiet whisper, an inner knowing that refuses to be ignored. You may not have all the details figured out, but deep within you sense that your current reality is no longer enough. It is not that your life is bad or that you are ungrateful for what you have. Rather, it is a realization that you are capable of so much more. This is one of the most significant signs that your life is about to change. At first, this feeling may be subtle. It might come as moments of dissatisfaction, a nagging thought that you are meant for something different. The things that once fulfilled you no longer bring the same joy. Conversations that used to interest you now feel empty. The routine that once felt comfortable now feels restrictive. It is as if an invisible force is pushing you to expand beyond your current limitations. You may try to dismiss these feelings, telling yourself that you should be content with what you have. But the more you try to ignore them, the stronger they become. This pull towards something greater often comes with restlessness. You feel a growing impatience, a sense that you can no longer afford to waste time. The activities that once distracted you no longer hold the same appeal. You might find yourself losing interest in meaningless entertainment, shallow conversations, or habits that keep you stagnant. Instead, you are drawn to things that challenge you, that push you toward growth. Books, videos, or experiences that once seemed unimportant now captivate you, as if life is trying to show you the path forward. During this time, you may also feel a deep sense of urgency. It is as if something inside you knows that change is not just an option, it is a necessity. You start questioning your choices, wondering if you have been playing small, settling for less than what you are capable of. This can be uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the areas where you have been holding yourself back. You may realize that you have been avoiding risks, choosing comfort over challenge, and allowing fear to dictate your decisions. This phase also brings an increased sensitivity to what no longer aligns with your growth. You start noticing how certain environments drain your energy, how certain conversations leave you feeling empty, how certain relationships no longer inspire you. It becomes difficult to tolerate negativity, gossip, or anything that does not contribute to your evolution. You may feel a natural desire to distance yourself from people or situations that keep you stuck in old patterns. This is not because you are better than anyone else, but because you recognize that your energy is precious and you cannot afford to waste it on things that no longer serve your purpose. As this transformation continues, you may find yourself drawn to new ideas and possibilities that once seemed unrealistic. A dream that you had long dismissed as impossible suddenly feels within reach. A career path you never considered before starts to intrigue you. A lifestyle change that once felt daunting now seems necessary. This shift in perspective is not accidental. It is life's way of showing you that the limitations you once believed in were never real. They were simply the result of past conditioning of fears and doubts that no longer have power over you. One of the most powerful aspects of this phase is the realization that the old version of you is fading. You may look back at who you were a few months or years ago and feel like you were a completely different person. The things you used to worry about no longer seem significant. The approval you once sought from others no longer matters as much. The fears that once controlled you no longer have the same hold. This is not an accident. It is proof that you are evolving, that you are stepping into a higher version of yourself. With this shift comes a new level of clarity. You begin to see through the illusions that once held you back. You recognize that many of the fears you had were never real obstacles, only mental barriers that you created. You understand that you are not as limited as you once believed, that you have more power over your life than you ever realized. This awareness is both liberating and challenging because it forces you to take responsibility for your future. You can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or external factors for your life. You see that everything is in your hands, and this realization changes everything. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you question whether you are truly ready for this change. The mind will try to pull you back into old patterns, convincing you that it is safer to stay where you are. You may feel fear creeping in, whispering that you are not prepared, that you don't have enough knowledge, resources, or experience. But deep down, you know that these are just illusions. The fact that you feel this pull towards something greater is proof that you are ready. If you weren't ready, you wouldn't feel it at all. As this inner shift continues, you start taking action in ways you never have before. You begin making decisions with greater confidence. You no longer wait for permission or external validation. You trust yourself more. You start showing up differently in the world. Bolder, more authentic, less afraid of what others think. You realize that your dreams are not just fantasies. They are possibilities waiting to be pursued. And for the first time, you feel a deep knowing that your life is about to change. Not because you are waiting for it to happen, but because you are actively stepping into the person you were always meant to be. There comes a point when the fear of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. You no longer feel content living within the limitations that once seemed acceptable. The thought of settling for less than your full potential starts to feel unbearable. It is as if something inside you has awakened, refusing to let you go back to the way things were. This is one of the clearest signs that your life is about to change. At first, this realization might feel uncomfortable. You may experience a sense of unease, a restlessness that makes it difficult to engage in your usual habits and routines. The things that once felt safe and familiar now seem restrictive. You may catch yourself questioning why you have spent so much time holding back, why you have allowed fear, doubt, or the opinions of others to dictate your choices. This internal dialogue becomes louder, making it impossible to ignore the fact that you are meant for something more. This phase often brings an increased awareness of time. You start recognizing how quickly the days, months, and years pass. You realize that waiting for the perfect moment has only led to delay, that every time you put off a dream or a goal, you are choosing comfort over growth. This awareness creates a shift in urgency. You no longer want to waste time on things that do not align with your vision. You begin to reassess your priorities, questioning whether the way you spend your days is truly leading you toward the life you desire. As this transformation unfolds, you start to feel a stronger connection to your intuition. The voice inside you that was once subtle is now louder, guiding you toward decisions that align with your true self. You may experience moments of deep clarity, sudden realizations about what you need to do next. These moments are often accompanied by a sense of certainty, an inner knowing that you are on the right path, even if you cannot fully explain why. At the same time, resistance will arise. The mind does not like change, and it will try to convince you to stay where you are. Old fears may resurface. Doubts may creep in, making you question whether you are truly capable of stepping into this new version of yourself. You may find yourself hesitating, feeling the pull between the comfort of the familiar and the uncertainty of the unknown. But unlike before, this resistance no longer has the same power over you. You recognize it for what it is, a test, a final challenge before stepping into the next chapter of your life. During this phase, your environment may begin to shift as well. People around you might notice that you are changing, even if they cannot quite put their finger on what is different. Some will support you, encouraging you to follow this new path. Others may resist your transformation, fearing that your growth will create distance between you. You may face criticism, judgment, or even attempts to pull you back into old patterns. This is a natural part of the process. When you change, it forces others to confront their own stagnation, and not everyone is ready to do that. This is where the real test comes in. You must decide whether you will allow external influences to shape your path, or whether you will trust yourself enough to keep moving forward. You will be tempted to seek reassurance, to look for signs that you are making the right choice, but deep down, you already know the answer. The discomfort of staying where you are has become greater than the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. You understand that growth requires risk, that every great transformation comes with moments of fear and uncertainty. One of the most powerful realizations in this phase is that you are no longer satisfied with merely surviving. You want to thriving. You want to thrive. You are no longer willing to make excuses for why you cannot pursue your goals. You stop telling yourself that you need more time, more resources, more validation. You recognize that the only thing standing between you and the life you desire is the belief that you are not ready. And when this belief finally crumbles, everything changes. This shift in mindset leads to action. You start making bolder decisions, stepping into opportunities that once seemed out of reach. You stop waiting for permission and begin creating your own path. You take control of your narrative, no longer allowing circumstances or the expectations of others to dictate your choices. You feel a newfound sense of empowerment, realizing that you are not a passive participant in your life. You are the creator of it. As you embrace this transformation, you begin to experience moments of synchronicity. Things start falling into place in ways that seem too perfect to be mere coincidence. The right opportunities, the right people, the right insights all start appearing at exactly the right time. This is not magic or luck. It is the result of alignment. When you commit to change, when you step fully into your potential, life responds accordingly. This process is not always easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you feel tested. Moments when you wonder if you are truly capable of sustaining this level of change. But something is different this time. You are no longer willing to turn back. The idea of returning to the way things were no longer feels like an option. You have outgrown your past self, and the only path forward is through transformation.